We're gonna hook up a baler today. Hey folks, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to talk about hooking up a baler and getting it ready to run. This video is going to be made for those of you that might have your first baler and a little new to it. So let's get started. So here we have my lovely New Holland 311. I love it. It's a great baler. I just got done baling today, so don't judge. She's a little dirty. I haven't cleaned her off yet. Anyway, we're gonna get this hooked up again, and I'm gonna take you through all the ropes. So first thing we're gonna do is I've hooked up the PTO, and then obviously we're gonna go ahead and get our pin in there, and then just take out the jack. Jack is raised. Now your baler is also going to have a string that goes to unlock the tongue to let it swing to go in the field position. So you're going to need to take that string and put it somewhere where it's not going to get hung up on anything. I just string the string over my top link of my three point. And on my baler, I also have a moisture probe on it. So this will hook to the meter on the tractor. But for now, I'm just gonna throw that right up there and take out some of the slack. Boy, my videography is terrible today. If you have to take it down the road, there's a couple things you want to do to make sure it's roadworthy first. First of all, make sure your pickup right here is raised. And so my meter wheel or gauge wheel is not on the ground. And on my baler, it raises and locks into position right here. Some balers, like John Deere's, might have a screw or handle there that screws it down. Then we're going to want to walk around back and make sure that if you have a chute, make sure that the chains are secured and wrapped around something. A lot of times what I'll do is wrap them around here a couple times or around these tensioners, and make sure they're secure that way. Otherwise, they'll come out and drag on the road. And finally, make sure the tongue is actually in road position. So that is the hole farthest to the left. You can see there's another hole right there. That is for field position. We're going to talk about that later. Last but not least, if you are going somewhere, make sure you've got a block with you, a wooden block. And I keep the wooden block on top of the twine in the twine box, and then I take it out when I get to the field. All right. Let's roll this out to where we're going to do some baling and demonstration. So we've got it in the field where we want to bale. This is where my demonstration is going to happen. There's a long list of things to do in order to get it set up and ready to go. So we're just going to move around the baler and cover all those. The first one is the shield on top of the knotters. I like to lift this up and open it if your shield is able to, or else remove it. What happens is it lets all the chaff and dust fly out of the knotters when they're working, and it keeps them a little cleaner. Now, like I said, I just got done baling with this machine, so my knotters are really dirty. Don't judge, because what's going to happen is when I'm done, I will take a leaf blower and blow all these out so they look nice and clean again. Next thing we're going to do is I'm going to open up my chute, and on my particular machine, I leave 5 links out of the top. It's really going to depend on what angle you need to get. If you're pulling a wagon or dropping them on the ground or something, I pull a wagon with mine, so it hooks right onto that. I know some people have bought balers that did not have a tongue on it, and they wanted to know how it hooks on there. So I'm going to show you how this one attaches on there. The tongue actually welds on to that right there, and it comes over, and then it just secures onto another bracket welded on right there too. If your baler doesn't have that, you would have to fabricate that on there. So I'm going to get the chute opened and chained up, and I'll be back. Okay, so my chute is now ready to go in front of my wagon. I'll back up so y'all can get some perspective. I'm old-fashioned. I still run a wagon with kids on it, and the bales feed right up to them, and then they're stacking them. We're gonna see that footage a little later. The next thing you wanna do is tighten the tensioners on the bale chute. So what is happening here is you've got this top rack and this bottom rack right here, and that's what both of them look like together. As you tighten those tensioners, what's going to happen is these top rack and bottom rack, they actually close together and pinch like that. You want the bale to encounter some tension as it's fed through. The more tension the bale has, the tighter and the nicer the bale you're going to have. It's also going to make the bale heavier. So if you're getting super heavy bales, you're going to want to back off on the tension a little bit. If they're still too loose, crank them down a little more. So how do we do this? Well, we're just going to turn this clockwise, the same number on each side to get it tight. Some balers will have a hydraulic tensioner. There will be a hydraulic pump mounted about right there with some hydraulic lines that are hooked to actual hydraulic pistons and cylinders right here. That's much nicer than a manual tensioner because they keep a more consistent tension on the hay as you're baling through the windrows. That's especially nice if you're encountering different size windrows with thicker or lower density whatnot. The baler does have to be on to run the hydraulic pump to supply it to the tensioners. So I'm going to crank these down about 32 turns clockwise. That's what I use for my machine. You'll just have to experiment with yours to find out what tension you like to get the bale density you want to. What you would do is once you get in the field, crank them down until they feel kind of tight. I've always been told you don't want to start baling with those too tight. Get your first bale through there and then crank them down some more. So what you'll do is you'll get into the field, start baling, get your first bale out, hop off the tractor, see how it feels, and then crank it down some more. And if they still feel a little loose, just keep hopping off and checking and cranking them down some more until they're where you like them. I've got these cranked down 32 turns clockwise on each, and now you can see how that the top rail is actually recessed down below the top of the bale chamber, and that is going to stretch up as the hay moves through there, but like I said, it's going to keep tension on there too. So the second to last thing is we need to get the baler in field position. So I'm going to take my block out of here, which is where I always keep it. To get it into field position, you need to put the block in front of the tire on, it'd be the passenger side, the right side of the baler. And then what's going to happen is I'm going to pull this as I'm moving forward. That tire's blocked, so it's going to cause this to swing out. Next, you want to check your twine and make sure you've got enough twine in here. I do have another video that shows how to tie two twine balls together and thread them through the needles. So go check that one out, but just briefly there's going to be a middle section, a piece of twine coming from the middle, and there's going to be a piece of twine coming from the outside. The twine is always fed from the middle to your needles, which go to the knotters. The piece of twine on the outside is tied to the piece of twine coming from the middle of the next bale, because as this is used up, it moves around like this to the outside. The outside is the last piece that goes through when it gets used up, and then it pulls the next twine ball through. I tie this in a square knot, I get it real tight, cut the tails off fairly short so it slides through the knotters fine. Finally, the very last thing we need to do is drop the pickup. On mine, gotta take this little guard out there, and then this drops straight down. And this rides on the gauge wheel, or the metering wheel, I guess it's a gauge wheel there, and it just kind of floats over the ground as it runs. You don't want your tines to be too close to the ground. I like to put my tines at about the top of my boot. These look like they are a little lower than that. If you are not picking up enough hay, you can drop them a little lower. On this particular baler, this wheel is adjustable. Other balers, there may be a little crank right up there, like I said earlier, that you've got to unscrew to let it go down. So anyway, we are all hooked up and ready to go. The next thing that needs to happen is I'm going to get on the tractor. We're going to engage the PTO very slowly, just ease into it, and we're going to do it at a low tractor speed, low RPMs, maybe 1,000 RPMs or something like that. And then we're going to slowly throttle up, and then you are ready to bale. I've just got a bunch of hay in front of here. These are kind of broken bales that fell open when we were stacking them after we're done baling. I just want to rebale them, but they'll be good for this demonstration. I run my baler at 540 PTO RPM. That's what it's rated for. That's the best speed to run it at. That's 1800 RPM on this tractor, which is my trusty Ford 4610. If we come around back to the bale chute, this is a good demonstration of what I was talking about. See how loose these are? That is very loose. They're even banana shaped, so I clearly needed much more tension on this, but that's okay, because I just wanted to regather this hay up into bales so I can at least transport it a little easier. When you're done baling for the day, you're going to want to put a block behind the tire and then come up. Make sure your latch pulls out here, and if it doesn't pull out, what you can do is put the block in front of the tire, and while pulling on that, drive against the block in front of the tire, and it should allow that string to pull that out. It'll loosen that latch up. Then put the block back behind the tire, and then back up, go in reverse to swing the tongue back into road position. Then you can raise your pickup. See if I can do this one-handed. I can't. Raise. And then I just put the little lock back in place. Next, loosen these back up about 32 or however many rotations counterclockwise, you tighten them. I never like to store those tight. I always loosen them up at the end of the day so there's not a tight bale sitting in there. And if you are at the end of the season, then for the love of freaking God, cut your twine and empty out the entire bale chamber. You should have no hay stored in there over the winter. Finally, when you're all done for the day, take a leaf blower. I don't know why I was having such a hard time thinking of that word. Take a leaf blower, blow this entire thing off. Get inside the shields here, blow those out. Get up here, blow the knotters out real well. Get them nice and cleaned up. Come over to here, get all the grass cleaned out of there, blow that out. And then I also come in here and there's all kinds of grass in there. I get in there, I don't know if you can see that, but I get in there and I clean out all the hay, blow all that out. Basically, any place where there is hay or grass sitting on your baler is a place where it can collect moisture there and rust. So I get as much chaff and grass out of the baler after every single baling session. Now today is an exception because tomorrow I'm gonna go bale again, so I'm just going to leave it sit overnight and finish up cleaning after tomorrow. But I keep it as clean as possible at all times to keep it from rusting and whatnot. There is one thing I wanted to say that's pretty important, and that is if you need to shut down your baler, wait until the bale chamber is completely empty of hay. You don't want to shut it down when the plunger is still moving a big slug of hay through, because what can happen is when you go to start it up again, that can actually break a shear bolt. So what I do is if I want to shut it down, I stop for a few seconds, give it time to clear the bale chamber, and then throttle down the tractor and then ease off on the PTO, just shut it off, and the baler will come to its own stop. I hope this video was enjoyable and you found some utility out of it. If you have any questions, feel free to leave them in the comments below. If you like what you see here and you want to see more of this, then like this video and then also subscribe to my channel because I'm always posting other helpful how-to videos and whatnot. Get out of the wind here. Also hit the little bell button and that will give you notifications if you don't want to miss material. Well, that's a wrap for me, so happy baling.